During the previous few months, various countries in the world have witnessed their economies reeling with high inflation environment. In the countries such as the US, UK, and Germany, the inflation is close to 40 years high. India too has been facing the high inflation. However, the impact of inflation in India has been comparatively less severe. The average inflation for the year 2021 in India was 6.2%, whereas in the financial year 21-22 it was 5.5%. In the July of this year, however, the retail inflation rate in India rose to 6.7%. But as the RBI has kept the target for India for its inflation to be 4 plus minus 2%, therefore, although the inflation in India is still higher than what has been targeted, but still this level will still be considered as quite manageable. Now, the effects of this quite persistent high inflation can also be seen on the other facets of the economy. For example, the value of Indian rupees has now fallen to its all-time low against the dollar. Recently, the rupee has traded at 81 rupees for a dollar. This fall in the value of Indian rupees can loosely be attributed to high inflation, as because of high inflation, the value of the commodity that can be bought by the rupee reduces and thus the currency devalues. The devaluation of the currency that is being witnessed is again a global phenomena. And again, the Indian rupee has done better to hold on to its value compared to a lot of other global currencies. Now, primarily, there are three reasons which can be attributed to this global high inflation. One of which is that when the pandemic hit, a lot of countries across the world had injected a stimulus package into the economy, and this was done in order to ensure that the slowdown in the economy because of the coronavirus lockdowns can be countered, and also as a means to provide the financial assistance to the people for keeping them afloat during the coronavirus lockdowns. This injection of money is now somewhat leading up to heating up of the economy and thus is attributing to current high inflation levels. Also, after the last year, when most of the countries across the globe started opening up post coronavirus lockdown, the demand of the commodities, which was stalled for previous 2 years, surged. The coronavirus lockdowns are currently only majorly imposed on the China. For most of the other countries, the restarting of the economy post coronavirus lockdowns has led to surge in the demand of the commodities, which in turn is putting stress on the supplies and which again is leading to the high global inflation. The third major factor for this current high global inflation is the Russian invasion of the Ukraine, which is going on currently. As it has become more difficult for the commodities that get produced in Ukraine and Russia to get into the market. Moreover, as Russia is a major producer of petroleum product, the sanctions which have been imposed on Russia because of the war has caused the disruption in the global oil and gas supply chain and has also led to the increased prices of oil and gas. Now, it's a known fact that the prices of oil and gas impact the price of all other commodities and thereby making them more expensive. This Russian-Ukraine war has ultimately caused the disruptions in supply chain of a lot of commodities in the world, leading to the increased prices. But it is not as if everything is currently gloomy for India on its economic front. As mentioned earlier, India has done well compared to most of other countries in terms of inflation and in aspects of economy such as currency devaluations. Moreover, recently there have been further more highlights related to the Indian economy, such as India recently overtook Great Britain to become the world's fifth largest economy. Similarly, in the first quarter of financial year 23, the Indian economy grew by around 13.55%, which although was below the expectation, but this growth can still be considered satisfactory. Moreover, the RBI has stated that it expects the Indian economy to grow by around 7.2% for this entire financial year, which means that India continues to be the fastest growing major economy of the world. While forecasting for the inflation, a lot of experts are predicting that this high inflation environment is likely to continue for this year as well as the next year. Especially, it can be suggested that once the world's supply chains get adjusted to the disruptions caused by the Russian-Ukraine war, and once the effects of the lockdown due to the coronavirus fade away, then it can be concluded that eventually this globally high inflation will get under control.